I finished narrating a story called The Prismatic. It's in my other YouTube channel. I'll link it in this description here. But I meant to add a few things at the very end when I just decided to ramble on about the story after I got done narrating it. But the story itself is, I mean, I had the backbone of it designed in my mind years ago, but I ended up deciding to go with a simple allegory within the whole story. I apologize for my camera, it's bad. I need a new one, sorry. But the allegory is basically this. In fantasy settings, a lot of people shun out the idea of psionics being mixed in with magic. They don't like it, they don't think it belongs, they think it's just, a thing that just doesn't belong there. And I don't like that at all. I think psychic stuff and magic stuff, they blend really well together and you can do it expands your options so much. And for a person to say, "Oh, that doesn't belong in there." Now, I'm specifically referencing Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 and 3.0. I ran across way too many players, and this was like 20 years ago. Nobody cares now. Nobody cares about this at all. I ran across throughout the years I played D&D people shunning out psionics. They say, "Oh, it doesn't belong in Dungeons and Dragons. It doesn't belong in Dungeons and Dragons." And I think it does. I think it adds a whole new dimension into the game, and it just expands it so much, and it's so awesome. Especially 3.5, the way Bruce Cordell designed how it works in the expanded Psionics Handbook and the complete Psionics Handbook. This man, in my opinion, is a genius. He is a mathematical genius, the way he designed how psionics work. Because the math for it, he himself didn't invent, but he utilized. It's identical to how magic works. And yes, D&D 3.5 ripped off of magic a whole lot for sure. There's too many powers that are called psionic, I don't know, fireball or whatever. It's not called that. It's called something else. But there's a lot of powers that just say the word psionic, and then it lists the spell name, even though it's a psionic power. And then the description says, refer to this spell in Dungeons and Dragons, whatever book for descriptions, which I thought was kind of lazy, but I still respect Bruce Cordell a whole lot for designing this and putting in D&D, and D, and I had so much fun over the years with this system. It was so awesome. And I just have run into so many players who just hate psionics and D&D. They just hate the very idea. And it's the same arguments every time. "Oh, it doesn't belong. It doesn't belong." Yes, it does. This is fantasy. You could do anything you want fantasy. You could put cars in there. You could put laser guns if you want in there. It's fine. I won't make the argument laser guns don't belong, but I will say it is weird to put laser guns in there. And I understand if someone thinks it's weird to have psychic powers that are scientifically explained how they work, which they are in 3.5, which is so awesome. Unlike magic, which should be vague, magic should never be explained. And it's okay to explain it, if you want, but it's having an air of mystery around magic makes it so much better. Um, but anyways, in my book, the yellow mystics are the ones who do psychics. They are psychics. They do psychic things, psychic magic. It's what they are. It's what they do. And so the other mystics shunned them with, "You guys don't belong, you don't belong, you don't belong," over and over. This rhetoric is repeated because this whole story is an allegory for how people shunned out psionics and psychics from D&D. And I think that's really sad because we're missing out. And people have told me over the years, well, they put it back, or they put it with something called a mystic, which that's pure coincidence. I promise that I name my characters mystics, and some mystics do psychic stuff. That's those two things aren't related, um, even though that's pretty close, I must say. But the yeah, it's just an allegory, man. For we should just accept this fantasy aspect into fantasy. And it's okay if you disagree with this next sentiment, but Star Wars is a fantasy story. You could argue it's science fiction because it has spaceships and laser guns, but if you're doing that, I think you miss the point of what science fiction is. Science fiction involves science being in it. And you don't have to even know science to write science fiction. I mean, I write time travel stories all the time, and they're fun. But no, the prismatic is an allegory for letting psionics belong in fantasy because it does. It belongs in fantasy. Um, That's why the yellow people are demonized by being called demons when, the blue, red, green, and orange people have demonized the fifth mystic, which is one of them, and they don't, and it's just kind of sad that we humans will cut out a thing that only enhances and adds to a story, adds to a game, adds to something that's just wonderful and awesome. And I don't think we should do that. You don't have to include things in your story. That would be over the top to have a game where you're including everything, and that would just be very difficult. So you just casually leave things out. But to fully remove a thing just because you don't like it, I mean, obviously that's logical, it makes sense, but to remove it because, oh, it doesn't belong. Yes, it does. Psionics belongs in D&D. It totally does. And I love it. It's so great. It enhances the game. And I love Bruce Cordell's design of Psionics and his addition to it. It grew so much, and it got so much hate. So much unnecessary hate Psionics got. It's so sad. But that's all I got to say about that. But I just wanted to say that. but nah, it's awesome, man. Let a thing be fun. Enjoy things. Let other people enjoy things. You don't want a thing in your story, you don't want a thing in your game, that's fine, but that doesn't mean it deserves hate. Like, I don't care for bards, but I've never been opposed to anyone playing a bard. And I'll use the same reasons anyone else does. Oh, they're not manly, they're not tough, they're not. Bards are awesome in their own way, man. I just happen to not enjoy being that. That's okay. That doesn't mean anything. There's no reason to place so much negative emphasis on psionics being in D&D, and D, and so that's what my story is about. That is the whole thing. It's like, hey, listen, and I know it's just a game, it's just a book, it's just a story, but let things be in things, man. Let people enjoy things. Let things be awesome and wonderful. And to oppose this with such adamancy is insane to me. You shouldn't put any of your energy into cutting this out of a thing. Just simply don't have it in your thing. To have a strong opinion as these people have, you're just ruining fun. You're just making life miserable. That's why the yellow people suffered so much in the Prismatic, because the other four mystics cut them out of society and didn't. They killed them off on sight. When a yellow mystic ascends, when they go from gray to yellow, they are killed immediately, or enslaved, or otherwise just removed from society. And that's what people want to do with psionics, and I don't like that. Let me enjoy psychic stuff, man. There's things you enjoy that I don't. I'm not trying to remove that from your joy. So don't remove things from my joy. Have a good one.